Well, hello everyone. Today's topic actually came to me because my daughter's wedding is approaching in 3 days. There has been so much prep going into this in the last year, but before she was even proposed to, before she said, "Mom, this guy, I think he might be the one," there have been so many times throughout my life where there has been big changes. And with those big changes, a lot of times comes with this identity shift. There comes a lot of questions with that. It becomes a time of uncertainty that we have to learn how to embrace in order to move through it, not just successfully, but how do we move through those big changes in our lives gracefully and with sort of this sense of new beginnings instead of focusing on what is ending. Yes, we are going to be diving into how to embrace big changes in our life. Let's get into it.
Welcome to the Soul Wide Open podcast with your host, author, and certified trauma informed coach Michelle Renee.
Okay, I am no stranger to what it means to go through really big changes in life. And I think all of us, of course, we go through big changes, right? When we become teenagers, it's like this big change that we are now, feeling like we are testing our independence and we're starting to be interested in, sexuality and different things. And then we have the big change that comes when we fall in love and we find that first great love and looking to get married, or the big changes that come around when we get our first big job and we graduate college, or, we're getting ready to start a family and have children. And then it goes on and on and on. The big changes in our lives are absolutely inevitable. But what is interesting to me is how we navigate through those big changes. And for me, that's been a bit of a roller coaster, to be honest. And the most recent big change for me is my daughter finding the absolute man of her dreams, love of her life, and her shifting in a way in her own life, and that becoming something that has created a really big shift in my life too. I've been a single mom almost her entire life. And really, it's just been her and I since she was born, almost from the moment she was born. It was really became just her and I because her dad was just not able to handle the responsibility that was in front of him, that we made a decision together to do, but he he inevitably just could not handle the responsibility because of some of the other choices that he was making in his life, and he basically just checked out. I mean, he checked out when I was in labor, he checked out basically in the hospital while I was giving birth. He was just really not able to be present, and that carried over into the home for sure when I was able to finally bring her home. And so it's been her and I, and we used to say it all the time. We used to say, "It's you and me against the world." Well, she met somebody, and it became so obvious to me that it was no longer me and her against the world. And it's funny because I could start seeing and feeling the shift almost maybe before she did, in a way, because I asked her pretty early on. I said, "There's something different here. Like, do you think this is it? Do you think this could be your guy?" And she goes, "I don't know, but I think so. I think it could be." And I just sensed that something was really different about this relationship with her. And I immediately started seeing and feeling that apron string begin to untie. We traveled so much together, and she used to just absolutely love traveling with me. We've traveled to so many places all over the world together. And at one point when she was little, we had a morning routine. And I posted a video recently on Instagram that I found an old video of us that in our morning routine. And I would say, what do we do really good together? And she said, we snuggle really good together. And I said, yes. What else do we do really good together? And she said, we love each other really good. I said, absolutely, yes. And then she said, we travel really good together. And I said, yes, we travel really good together, road trips. And she said, those are the best. So we've had so much fun traveling together. So when she began to say to me, you know, Mom, I really don't feel like I want to go on this next trip with you, on this next business trip. And she was really starting to be this amazing woman to her partner that wanted to be with him. And I was so in this moment of just being so proud of her for the partner that she was to this wonderful man. But I was also beginning to feel this identity shift in myself because of this big change that was coming on. And then she moved in with him. And it began to be less and less of the things that her and I used to do together, or her coming over and us having Sunday family days, and so many of the little things that we had been doing for so long, for 27 years together, 28 years together. And suddenly these shifts were happening. And I really began to start to wonder, who am I without being Bria's mom? Who am I without being the person that she's going to call if she has symptoms of MS, if she feels like she might be having a relapse? And I was the only and first person she would call. And you get used to carrying that worry, or you get used to being that person in somebody's life and feeling that place of importance, especially as a mom or as a parent. And now she had somebody else who she was going to call. And she's got somebody else who's going to be that name that she writes down on her emergency contact list. You know, it's those little shifts that end up being sometimes the biggest changes in our lives. And now they're getting married, and they want to start having kids right away. And so all of this for me has been slowly over the past 3 years, watching that apron string come untied. And I feel like this coming weekend with the wedding, I'm going to be watching those apron strings just almost, and it's almost feels like it's not like this traumatic thing. It's not like this sad thing or anything. It's almost this whimsical. I see the apron strings kind of going in the wind a little bit in this sort of magical, beautiful way. I don't see it as anything sad, but I've had to really, really dig in to, who am I without the relationship that I've had with her for all these years? Who am I now? And it's taken a lot. It's been a lot of tears. I'm going to just be honest. There's been a lot of tears. There's been a lot of loneliness, to be honest. And I've had to really come to grips with living my life in a way that is more on my own than ever before. And so when this first started happening, I mean, I was just like, I was honestly a bit of a mess. I didn't know what to do. I was like, what am I gonna do? The loneliness, the giving her space and just being by myself, and kind of feeling sorry for myself, I think, a little bit now that I think about it. But yeah, it was, I think I was, kind of feeling sorry for myself a little bit and had a little pity party for myself. But that didn't last very long. I really began to go, okay, what is amazing about this is that, number one, I really wanted to look at this in a way that was, how do I now embrace this new life, this new freedom that I've never ever known in my entire life? Growing up with my parents and in the home that I did, and with 7 kids in the house, and being there for my little brother, and helping him and taking care of people and pets, and then there was my husband, and then I had Bria and us on our own, and the kidnapping and the MS, and, like, there has been so much that I have poured out into taking care of other people and pets and working so hard and not really having, I don't know if it's if to say the capacity is the right word, but I just haven't had the time or the space necessarily, and maybe even the wisdom that I have now and the experiences that I have now to sit back and say, how am I going to do this for me? And the feeling of this new sense of freedom came over me, that I began to really celebrate that and go, oh my gosh, this really is the time for me to take care of me, for me to do the things that just make me happy, the things that just make my life feel full and rich without that role of single mom, without that needing to sort of feel like I need to be there and always be on standby because she's got somebody else now. And the way that I've been able to embrace these changes is, number one, yes, it's okay to have that pity party, but literally for a nanosecond. Like, you can't stay in that pity party. Allow yourself to feel that, all of that, the separation, the sort of departure. It's almost like when someone's leaving, on a cruise ship and you're, saying goodbye, bon voyage, have a great time. That's how I feel about this with Bria. And I- it is like sort of I'm on the shore and she's heading off onto this great voyage. And I'm saying, have a wonderful time, have the best time, take it all in, don't miss a moment. That's how I feel about her and her new life. But that's also how I realized I need to feel about me in my own life. And I need to know that she's there on the shore too, waving and saying, Mom, have a great time. Bon voyage. Enjoy the journey. Take it all in. She's doing that for me too. But I need to do that for myself, and she needs to do that for herself. And when I came to that realization and really got that visual of sort of being on the shore and watching myself begin this brand new journey, this new voyage, it shifted everything for me. And since then, I've decided that I'm not going to be, well, I won't say that. Since then, there's been some moments. I mean, I go through moments. The other day, what brought on this episode is that I was laying in bed and I was going over my speech that I'm going to be giving at the wedding in my head, and I started crying. And I was laying in bed and I was crying, and it wasn't like sad tears. It was more of that letting go. And it was more of the reality and the realization of this happening. Like, this is really happening. It's getting close, right? And as much as I'm in such celebration for everything, for them, for me, for everything, it's still okay. I still give myself permission to lay in bed for 10 minutes and cry and realize that this is such a big shift in my life, and not judge that, not judge myself. I let myself go through those emotions and feel those emotions, and let myself say, like, this is emotional. This is such a shift. This is an identity shift for me that I am embracing, but it doesn't mean I still don't feel that shift as it's happening. So as we're going through these big changes, it's really important that we sort of see ourselves off in a beautiful way onto our own new journey, into our own new voyage. And when we have these moments where we're remembering how it used to be, and we feel that little ping in our heart, because we are going to miss it. I'm going to miss it forever. I'm going to miss the adventures, and I'm going to miss that life. And it's not that we're not that close anymore, but it's different now. And I'm okay with that, and it is okay, and it's normal, and it's wonderful, and it's beautiful, and it's all those things. But guess what? I'm still gonna feel that little ping in my heart sometimes, and I'm still gonna miss it, and that's okay too. And I'm gonna allow myself to have those little moments, and then I'm gonna say, "I love those moments. I love that I'm remembering those moments." And then I'm gonna get up, and I'm gonna turn on some Donna Summer, and I'm gonna dance in my living room and remember that I have this brand new level of freedom now that I've never had before. My daughter has somebody that's just got her 100%. My brother is no longer with us, and that worry, and that was another identity shift that I went through, that big change that I've been there really taking care of him and helping him and worrying about him for so many years. It was a lifetime of worry. Like, who am I without that heaviness and that sort of, again, that being in that standby position for people in your life? Well, how about you just no longer are on standby like that, and that hyper alert position in life for people, and you are suddenly up at the batter's box for yourself? There's an amazing sense of calm that comes with realizing that you no longer need to be the standby person on alert all the time. When we begin to go, okay, this shift, how is this shift going to benefit me? How can I be on this new voyage and take it all in and enjoy it and give myself permission to do that instead of really hanging on to our past identity? The really big changes that I've been through in my life, every single one of them has turned out to be an incredible gift. Such an incredible gift. This new switch with Bria, this big change going on, it is the gift of a freedom I've never known. The kidnapping, talk about a big change. That turned out to be an incredible gift that helped me appreciate life more, that helped me appreciate everything more, that helped me have more gratitude and love and be a better mother and be a better person and be a better friend, better in every single way that I can think of. Even some of the big changes that had to do with career changes and job changes, if I look back at all of those, they all turned out to be incredible blessings in the end because I stayed open to what the possibilities were going to be, and I did not stay stuck. Because after a while, that pity party is pretty lonely. So when you're facing really big challenges in your life, when you're facing really big changes in your life, those big shifts, and you're questioning your identity and you're like, oh, who am I? Like, what am I going to do if I'm not this person for my daughter anymore? What am I going to do if I'm not this person for my family anymore? How about we start asking, who can I become? How can I shift in the most beautiful, positive way as my identity of shifting? What does that look like for me? What does this new identity look like in the best way? Like, I have all this time on my hands all of a sudden. Like, how can I use that now in a way that's going to help me embrace the change, embrace this new identity, not even embrace the new identity, because sometimes you don't even know what that new identity is going to be. You actually get to craft that identity. You get to curate that. You get to say, okay, I this is everything that I've learned all of these years that I get to take forward with me. But what do I want to create now that is going to be a part of my identity? That is going to be so much fun. That's going to make me more interesting. Go back to school. Take a class that you've always wanted to take. I mean, taking a world religion class in anthropology, biological anthropology, for me was one of the best things that I ever did in my 40s because I wanted to learn. I didn't need a degree, but I wanted my degree. I wanted to learn. What can you do that's going to really help you mold and craft this new great identity for yourself? Like, literally, the possibilities are endless. Where can you travel to that's going to just feed your soul? That's going to light you up. So, when you're going through these big changes, don't count yourself out. Don't say, oh my gosh, now I'm nothing without this. I mean, I've heard that before. Like, absolutely stop all that negative self talk. How are you going to? How are you going to be on the shore wishing yourself an amazing bon voyage? What is the new identity after these big changes that you're going to curate, you're going to craft, and you're going to have fun with it and surprise people, surprise yourself even? This has been such a huge part of my entire healing process in my life is not letting changes get me stuck, not letting changes count me out and take me out of the game. Not an option for me. Don't let that be an option for you. I hope this episode just has inspired you to embrace big changes, craft this new identity following these big changes. Get excited about it. And don't forget to wish yourself the best bon voyage. Thanks for tuning in. I can't wait to see you on the next one. Hey, do me a big favor. Hit that like button. Share the show some love, put a comment down below. I would really love the support. This is a brand new show. I'm growing the show, and I can't do it without you. So thanks for all the support, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.